Hello, welcome back to History of Wine and the Vine. I'm Emily Kate. So this week we're going to be discussing, again, continuing with the Drinking and Drunkenness series. And this week's topic is going to be ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt. So I wanted to start off with a quote, and this is actually a quote from Plutarch. And he's kind of describing what ancient Egyptians thought wine was. So get ready because it's good. The blood of those who had once battled against the gods and from whom when they had fallen had become commingled with the earth. They believe vines to have sprung. This is the reason why drunkenness drives men out of their senses and crazes them, insomuch as they are filled with the blood of their forebears. So this idea that wine is blood has come up again and again when looking at kind of ancient Egyptian relationship with blood, and violence is a very recurring theme. The wine press god Shesmu crushes heads in his wine press. So there's a lot of kind of different associations with violence, which might lead us to believe that when people drank in ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt, that violence ensued. So that would not be a huge leap. And but in general, there was kind of a favorable opinion throughout the late period to the Greco-Roman period that you could get drunk, and they called it making merry, or your heart's delight, or being festive. So these are all very positive words that were associated. But then again, overindulgence, seeing as wine was generally in these cultures used for religious purposes, overindulgence was definitely looked down upon. And I have a couple of quotes here that are going to kind of get you to understand just how looked down upon overindulgence in wine was. So we have one from the sage Ani, who warns, when you speak, when you're drunk, nonsense comes out of your mouth. If you fall down and your limbs break, no one will help you. So not a lot of sympathy for those who are drunk, very different from kind of what the kind of sympathy that men got in maybe the Roman world or the Greek world. So clearly that was very much a no-no in that society. We also have the author of the Papyrus and Singer, and he says, wine, women, and food give gladness to the heart. He who uses them without loud shouting is not reproached in the streets. So here first we had kind of the idea of, from the first quote, don't get drunk, it's, you know, not a good look and whatnot. And then kind of on this one, there's more of a encouragement to keep things under wraps, that you can indulge in kind of things, pleasurable things. You have a right to pleasure, which was a huge theme amongst men in the Middle Ages, in the ancient world. But in general, here, what this kind of papyrus is saying is that just don't make it so obvious. Don't disturb the peace. Don't disrupt everybody's lives, and you can indulge what you want. Something I find really interesting in terms of the way that drunkenness was viewed is something called the Valley Festival. Now, the Valley Festival happened in ancient Egypt, and it was actually a kind of festival where the living were able to kind of transcend the earthly world and kind of communicate and like be with the dead. And they did this by getting drunk. So clearly there was some kind of acknowledgement of a mystic quality that was felt by Egyptians when they were extremely drunk, and that was kind of translated into believing that there was a connection between the other world and this world, and kind of the bridge of that connection was inebriation, we'll say. So now I have two stories about the Sumerian gods. So one is, they're both with Enki, who is a Sumerian god, and one is with the goddess Ninmah, and they were, the two gods, god and goddess, were actually together, drinking together, and they decided to have a drinking contest and then create new beings. And every new being that they created when they were drunk actually had some kind of defect. So no matter what it was, it had some type of defect, and that kind of shows the sloppiness that was associated with being drunk and kind of the carelessness that was associated. Then next we have Enki and Inanna, and they got drunk together, and Enki was offering her all of the arts of civilization, and he was giving more and more and more of these arts of civilization away to her when he was getting more and more drunk. And then it turns out that she actually removed the arts of civilization from Enki's sphere and brought them over to her own, kind of robbing Enki of these civilized arts. So definitely not great stories that have to do with being drunk, are they? And these were probably used as teaching tools. In many ways, the Sumerian gods often resembled the behaviors of humans and were used as kind of teaching tools, the stories about them. So these could be used as warnings to kind of not let this happen to you, kind of thing. So I hope that you found this interesting, this idea of drunkenness in the ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt. If you liked it, click the thumbs up like button and subscribe for more lectures, because there'll be more next week. Okay, see you then. Cheers.